So I sat here with Kerry, who's doing a teacher training route after her religion, philosophy and ethics degree. Now, one thing when I talk to students who are thinking of going into teaching, one thing that I think scares them a bit is, or makes them feel unsure, isn't their knowledge about the subjects. Most of them are aware that they've got kind of awesome skills in philosophy and religion and things, but they're not so sure about dealing with unruly, gobby, cheeky teenagers.
Yeah.
How have you found the behaviour side of working in a school so far?
I think you always go in expecting the worst, and as a group of training teachers, that was our worst fear. Was what if they don't listen? That was my thing. What if I go in there?
So you tell them to sit down and nothing happens?
Yeah, like what if I went in there and they just didn't listen, or they were throwing chairs and things, and you build up all these sort of like bad things that you think are going to happen. Before you get anywhere near a school, they will give you some lessons in behaviour management and give you some like skills and techniques to deal with it. One thing I've learned is you can never control behaviour. So you could be the best teacher in the world, and if a child is having an off day, they will still misbehave. But it's about how you manage it, and that's why they call it behaviour management, because with the best will in the world, you do not know what's happened in that child's day or that child's life that may affect their behaviour in the classroom. Touch wood, I haven't had too many bad experiences. Nothing major at all. I expect to struggle more with the older children, but it's actually lower school, so in particular year 8, who are sort of 12 and 13. They're no longer the newbies in school, and they've been there longer than I have, so they think that gives them the right to...
And they're not panicking yet about their GCSEs.
Exactly. So at my school, RS is an option subject, and a lot of them they choose their options in year 8 and then carry it through to year 9. They start GCSEs in year 9. So a lot of my year 8s don't want to take it.
So is there a sense in which RE is seen by some people, perhaps as it was when I was young, as a kind of joke subject, or not as serious as their maths or their physics?
It is in some schools. We are very, very lucky, in fact, at our school, it has a very good status. So in our school, we get the best results in the county and have done for the last 7 years. And it is always in the top 4 performing schools for GCSE results in the country. So we have a lot of time devoted to RS, which we're very, very lucky with. In some schools, they only get an hour a week, and it is seen as a joke subject. A lot of children say, I don't understand why I have to do RE, or I don't believe in God, miss.
So why am I
doing
here?
it? So you sort of have to have answers prepared for that. In some ways, I think I'm quite lucky because I don't have a faith. So I can say, I don't believe in God either, but
it's not about that.
But yeah, and it's really interesting, and so that's quite nice to be able to come from it from that point of view almost. And I tend to get some kids on side like that. But yeah, some kids don't understand how important it is, and that to me is one of the reasons why I want to teach it, because I want to show them, just especially my school is very sort of middle class, not very culturally diverse. So in some respects, it's much more important that I do teach in like RE and school like
So in a sense, for any of the children that are coming through your classrooms, the only really knowledge they'll get about other cultures, about Islamic culture, say, or kind of Hindu culture, will be what you give them in that lesson.
Yeah.
Their only other exposure will be from the mass media.
Exactly.
Which has a very problematic portrayal.
Absolutely.
Very narrow.
Yeah.
So it's a real chance, I guess, to give them a taste of some alternative ways of thinking about those communities.
Yeah, absolutely, which is really important. So I do have, there's one class in particular where some of the kids, that is the whole attitude, I don't know why we have to learn about this, And for example, with the media, with Islam in particular, I'm struggling to get past they're just terrorists stage.
Right, so a lot of kids just can blank off.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're not going to stop teaching it, and sort of teaching out the positive aspects of it to try and counteract the media. But I have behaviour issues in that class because of their preconceptions about the religion. So it's difficult. Of going back to the original point of behaviour management, every school has procedures in place that are there to support you as a teacher. And I say I haven't had anything major. I have kids regularly in detentions, more for homework than anything else.
Really?
But there are strategies to use. So my favourite one at the moment is if they're talking, wasting my time, I start writing minutes on the board, and then that comes off their break time. And then that's really quickly works. Because the next thing is like, Miss kept us in for 5 minutes, shut up. and then they sort of like manage it themselves almost.
So I guess if people are very anxious, they kind of need reminded that schools are set up structurally to have behaviour management and teachers.
Yeah.
So if teachers kind of fall in line with what's expected in the school and what the kids expect from other teachers, then that gives them an awful lot of things without the teacher feeling they need to kind of be this amazing kind of charisma and suddenly kind of manage them all.
And as long as you're consistent, that's the biggest thing, is being consistent and following through. You can't threaten things and then not do it, because otherwise they just think, well, she doesn't act on what she says anyway.
They're not stupid. You can see through quite quickly.
Absolutely, so that's really important. The other thing is, don't be afraid of phoning parents. There's a lot of things trainees are really scared about. I've had to do a few negative phone calls home, but it's a really easy way to sort of shock that child and get them to behave. And if you ward it sort of, you know, like, you know, I know you value their education as much as I do, you know, I'm sure you want to support me in this. And then obviously the parents can't really say no to that, and have a word with little Johnny at home. And then that tends, and I say, you know, I'll report back to you. So there's things like that as well, which are really helpful to you.
So that group of trainees who all met before you were initially in school, and that was your biggest fear, that everyone was going to rebel. Have you met those people since, or been in touch with them about whether they've now got their other things like workload and? Yeah,
absolutely. So as I said to you before we started talking, there was about 16 of us that started, all in different subjects, and we're at different schools. And there's a few design technology students and science teachers at my school as well. 16 of us started. 2 have left the course, and 2 have recently been signed off for stress. And it is stressful, but again, there are procedures and, you know, support there for you. So that was our biggest fear, was behaviour management. And so to begin with, we had lectures once a week, and so we saw each other once a week. And now we won't see each other again until after Christmas, but we stay in touch we have like a Facebook group. So workload is a massive issue at the moment for all of us. We've all taken over our own classes, so I have 7 of my own classes at the moment.
So that's a lot of kind of homework to keep on top of, and planning and...
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of data and paperwork involved that even, I mean, I got experience in school before I started my PGCE, but you don't see that side of it. It's just going visiting a school.
That's what the teacher's doing at home, or before lessons, or...
Yeah, so I very rarely go to bed before midnight, and I'm up at 5 to get ready for school the next morning. And it's emotionally and physically draining. I wouldn't recommend you do it unless you're really passionate about it. And you do sometimes have to remind yourself like why you're there, but then it's the tiny like little breakthroughs you have with students and classes that do make it all worthwhile. And it is stressful, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, to be honest with you. It's really nice. So.
Well, even a few months in, that's really nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.